Women that leave men that love their family and pay for everything because he steps out and are all hurt, they are the most selfish people on the planet because they destroy that family. They tear those children apart. The father loses access. She steals resources as a consequence of that. Selfish. Women that leave men.
Okay, so yeah, so that's a hill that I'll die on, and I know that that's difficult for women to deal with or understand. But you missed a little bit of the context when you sort of opened with that, because yeah, there's something going on there. Women that leave marriages, that untie the knot because he steps out, comes back, remains with the family, takes care of everything, pays the bills, goes to the events, does Thanksgiving, does Christmas, all the holidays, attends the next wedding, all that good stuff. He's still a part of the family, but she's untying the knot because she's hurt because he cheated. Yeah. There's children involved in this equation. I think it's incredibly selfish when women end marriages just over something like that, because women don't seem to understand, because they can't see the male experience. They just don't have the capacity to do so, because when women cheat, they actually betray. There's a big difference between cheating and betrayal. Cheating is stepping out, you get your exercise, you come back, you're part of that family unit. When women step out, they're leaving. They're typically going to another relationship. There's no time in history where we know of women running a harem of guys, multiple guys simultaneously. They're engaged with all of them. It just doesn't exist. Women are serial monogamous. They move from one guy to another guy to another guy, right? They're not monogamous in a sense in the animal kingdom where one of the animals dies, they don't mate again, ever. They just move from guy to guy to guy. That's how women generally operate. So when women untie the knot, I don't think it's a good idea. I think it's bad for the children, especially if they're small, they're young, because then you separate the kids from the parents. They only get half the time with one parent and the other half time with another parent. Best case scenario. Worst case scenario, women get 80% of the custody orders, so she's getting the kids most of the time, alienating him from his own kids. So that's the point of that. I think it's incredibly selfish, and it's a hill that I'll die on.
Okay, can we ask if that's one of those situations where you're thinking they come back and they don't ever cheat again, or are they like chronically cheating?
Does it really matter if he's taking care of the family?
Depends, I think.
It does matter.
It's a mental game at that point, because I will say, like, men usually step out to cheat because it's physical. Women step out and it's emotional, and it's usually kind of it's already like slowly happening type of thing. I'm not a cheater personally, but I could.
Yeah, and that's the big difference, is there's an emotional connection formed between a woman and a man when she steps out. He can just have some exercise and come home and forget about it, right? And that emotional connection is part of the betrayal, which is what women see, because when women step out, they know exactly what they're doing. They form an emotional connection with that man. So she's using that lens to view what he did with her. He can legit go out, just have exercise and come home. But they don't understand that. So that's why they get so upset. Women get so upset when it's like, oh, Rich said this. Why would you say something like that? That's completely wrong. He cheated on her. That's the end of the relationship. Is it really? Is it really? Like, is that really a good idea to untie the knot and destroy children and teach him a lesson and steal all of his wealth? Is it really? Like, is that the way to go? Because again, I don't see an argument for that.
Do you think that the men should be coming back, though, once the situation has been revealed, that they should be coming back? And obviously there's going to be some sort of damage control, right, that's happening now here.
Damage control, like, with the wife?
As the wife, are we just going to accept it and then move forward and be like, oh, that's...
What are you going to do?
What's the alternative? That's the question. It's like, let's say there's kids involved. I mean, the alternative is what? I mean, breaking up the family. It's
so here's an alternative.
Home.
You now break up the family. You're probably going to get custody of the kids, because that's the way that it goes about 80% of the time. You're probably going to get alimony, child support, half the matrimonial assets. And then what are you going to do? You're going to start dating, and you're going to look for another guy that's not going to betray you, right? That's not going to cheat on you, right? Okay, so maybe you find a guy. On a balance of probabilities, and when you're out there dating and you see these broken women from divorces and they've got kids in tow and they're single moms now, if you've got children, small children in your household, you'd invite a man into that household now, right? Because you've got the matrimonial home, you've got the money, you've got the home, you've got the child support, everything's good. The kids are there 80% of the time. They're over at dad's house every other weekend and Wednesday night for dinner. You're there for your free weekend, you start dating, you get guys over. Now all of a sudden you're going to form a new relationship with a new guy. You know what the greatest threat is to children in a household, small children? Is a non-blood relative. The vast majority of young girls and boys too that are violated come from non-blood relatives. So you've thrown the guy out of the house that loves you, that's the father of the kids, to start new, to teach him a lesson, right? And now you're inviting a new dude into the house that could potentially do something to violate your own children. There's a lot of deleterious downstream sort of effects that come from this decision. It's a large decision to make, and I don't think it should be taken lightly. Just because you cheated, let's have a big freak out session over it.
Right. Are there caveats and nuances if the husband returns with a baby, an illegitimate baby, or if the husband returns with a sexually transmitted disease? Much different.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Then there's maybe things that you might contemplate getting upset about. Women don't want to be embarrassed. They don't want another woman to come knocking on the door. Surprise, Anita, I've got your husband's child. I've got a seed within me, and I'm going to have this child in 8 months' time. Right. They don't want to deal with that. No.
So I just want to
this question really quick. Go ahead, Jackie.
Is that the part that I don't really like is, why does he have to lie? Like, if he wants,
he doesn't have to lie. He can be honest about it too.
Why can't he just say, babe, like, I just want to have sex with another woman, and then talk about it and then get the approval or not? Like, why even? That's why the betrayal comes into play. Yeah. I felt betrayed because you weren't honest with me, and I had to find out because now she's knocking at my door.
And he can absolutely be honest about it too, right? But do women want to hear that narrative as well?
They don't, because a lot of people are frowning upon an open relationship. It's not up to him to make that decision for her. Well, no, but they need to talk together. But a lot of people literally frown upon an open relationship, to where men might fear even bringing that up because we're going to feel that we're not worthy enough of it. But some people just kind of have the mindset of like, I want it all type of thing.
I think there's a whole bunch of schools of thought on this, right? Like, let's sit down and have a conversation and let her know what's happening. Let's sit down and have a conversation and ask her for permission. Let's not say anything and just go and do it. And if I get caught, just admit to it. Or let's go out and do it, and if I get caught, deny it. Like, there's all these different schools of thought, and I don't think that there's a right one or a wrong one. It's just, it's difficult. It's a difficult conversation to have. I don't think monogamy is very natural for human beings. We struggle at it. Men and women struggle at it for different reasons. It can work, but but maintaining long-term, genuine, burning desire is very, very difficult as well too. It's one of the consequences of men and women having relationships is you're going to look in other directions from time to time. You may exercise where you look in other directions from time to time. I don't think destroying a family where the man is committed to the family and his children and his wife and the household, family events and all that sort of things is something worth breaking up the marriage over, to potentially put your kids at risk in the future and remove them from the father as well. Children that are raised primarily in a single mother household fare far worse than kids that have good access to both parents. It's not good for the kids. It's not good for anybody, and it's a selfish act on the mother's part, generally speaking, is my take on it. Show of hands by the ladies. How many ladies on the show right now have been cheated on in the past by a guy? So everyone. Okay. So it's pretty common. Yeah. It's more common than it is uncommon. Is it really worth destroying a family and untying the knot over a guy stepping out, but he's still committed to the family, is what I'm asking? Because I don't think it is.
Do you have daughters?
You say
right
that the woman untying the knot is selfish, and yet you don't see the man cheating on his wife as selfish.
Yeah, but the reason why he's doing it is different from the reason why women do it. When women do it, they have a connection to the guy. The first thing that a woman asks a guy when he steps out is what? Did you love her? Mm-hmm. Did you take her to that restaurant that we go to? Why did you take her on that vacation to that spot that we've been to? Right? Like, these are the questions that are asked. What are the questions that men ask a woman when she steps out? Did you fuck him? How many times? What'd you guys do together? Did you swallow? Right? Like, they get into very intimate questions in their head that are very different from what women are looking at. It's a totally different thing. You can't compare the two and say that it's, you know, it's apples and oranges.
I'm sorry, but what if she was cheating because it's been, you know, however many years and now she's bored, so it is just for sex? Is that acceptable?
It's not ever just for sex. It's not ever just for sex. It's not how women, but that's not how women have sex. Women don't have sex the way that men do.
It doesn't exist.
Women do not they don't have sex the way that men do. They require a deeper connection. There's this idea that once a woman has stepped out, and because essentially if we want to take this back to an evolutionary level, a woman having sex with a guy, even in the split second that it takes to happen, she has identified that man as her best option, sexually, reproductively, et cetera, et cetera. Contraception has only been around for 60, 70 years or whatever it is. And so even subconsciously, even in that split moment, that woman is identifying this man as, I would have this man's baby. I would let this man impregnate me. And if a woman just was trying to get sex from a guy, why doesn't she just go screw her husband? If it's just about sex, why doesn't she just screw the guy she's already with instead of stepping out? Because it's not just about sex. It's about way more than that. And once she's had sex with somebody else besides the husband or besides the boyfriend or who else, that's it. She'll never look at him the same.
That's what women fail to understand, is they use a lens in which they view it when they step out on a guy to apply it to the behavior that he's using. And it's different things completely. And I don't think women are able to see it through his eyes. It's entirely possible for a guy to legit go out, step out on a marriage, on his wife, come back and think nothing of it. Absolutely nothing whatsoever. And I don't think that is a reason to end a marriage, separate the children from the family and the father, and destroy the family wealth and give it all to lawyers. I really hope you guys enjoyed that clip. If you want to watch the full-length podcast, you can find that over here, that clip's from. If you're newer to the channel, make sure you hit subscribe over here, and pin down below in the top comment, you'll find a bunch of useful links to my website, my supplement line, books, and a bunch of other stuff. Have an amazing day. Peace out.